I'll tell you what, today I'm upset. I can't help it. I'm doing a Lance rant. Normally I save the rants for at home. You know, I feel like, well, I'm at home and people will make allowance for me kind of, losing it at home. The guy's a little nutty, cameras up in the air, these weird angles. But no, I'm in the studio. I just got done doing a war room with Ben Harnwell and David Bratt, filling in for Steve Bannon, who's locked up in prison because of this imperial Roman government that's almost ready to launch the imperial persecution if Kamala Harris is put in office. Now, did I tell you about my conversation with an ABC News affiliate down there in Pittsburgh where we had J.D. Vance was going to be appearing, doing a, what do they call it? What's it called again? Town hall. And, they freaked out. J.D. Vance speaks at event hosted by Apostle who accused Kamala of witchcraft. That's one newspaper article. And it is just pro-Trump Christian extremists are using scripture to justify violent goals. Oh, really? What are the violent goals that Christians are pursuing? Extremism researchers warn of the menace embedded in Christian nationalist rhetoric. I tell you what, I'm getting irritated. This is the Washington Post. You know what their slogan is? Democracy dies in darkness. Democracy dies at the Washington Post. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with the fact that we don't have a single response mechanism. When the Nazis try to turn the nation against the Jews, we don't really have an equivalent vehicle like the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Huffington Post. And like Trump says, hey, they're coming after me. What is the saying? But they really want to come to you, but they got to get through me. Well, that's what people like me are. We're like the speed bump. Boom, they got to go over us in order to get to you. But they have these weird, and they create, let me tell you how the left works. They create fictitious scholastic think tanks. They prop up pseudo-scholars, and they throw the word scholar and think tank and center and research in order to psychologically manipulate the reader into thinking that there's some kind of a superior intellectual data gathering going on here. Objective science is what it's called. Well, let me give you the names of these organizations. They're so freakish. They're almost like out of a Naked Gun episode. Armed Conflict Location and Event Project. No, wait, catch it. Who would come up with a name like this? I wonder what the acronym is. It's probably Armpit. Anyway, there's Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, a global conflict monitoring group where white supremacist groups are staging pop-up appearances in various parts of the country. Oh, white supremacist groups. Yeah, right. Well, that's why we have so many black white supremacists and Hispanic white supremacists and Asian white supremacists. Meanwhile, Cheon is vilified. The Korean white supremacists, working alongside of Martin Luther King's niece. I'm telling you something. Imelda Marcos's closet had a lot of shoes, and the left has a lot of wacky people. Why those two things went in my head right there, I don't know. Oh, here's another one, the Southern Poverty Law Center. It's neither Southern nor is it poverty. It's funded by a bunch of millionaires. Neither does it deal with law. It's all about slandering and creating heat maps of Christian organizations and selling it as though the Southern Poverty Law Center is focused on the poor in the South and the battle of segregation and lies. It's like grape nuts. Grape nuts. You ever had grape nuts? It's neither grapes nor nuts. That's the Southern Poverty Law Center. But then they're covering the dangerous NAR. Have you heard this one lately? I am the Grand Poobah, the Grand Marshal, the cosmic leader of the New Apostolic Reformation. Of course, then again, it could be Dutch Sheets or it could be Cheon. It all depends on who this week they decided to make the mysterious leader of that clan where we have our secret handshakes and wear our own special pajamas. What is the NAR? And it's so bad because even my own side, even my own flippin' friends, 10 characteristics that distinguish true Christianity from the NAR. Why don't you just admit it? They created the term New Apostolic Reformation. It's like in order to, like Christian white supremacists, Christian nationalists, dominionists, they come up with the language, splat you with it, and then you're trying to, I'm not like that. No, I'm not a pedophile. No, I'm not. I'm homophobic. Oh, no, I'm not a misogynist. And it doesn't work when you do that. I'm not. It makes you sound like you're being defensive of it. Well, to what degree are you actually a pedophile? And such is the nature of Satan, that grand accuser, that grand master of accusation, that sublime sultan of slime. I'm worked up today, people. And well, I should be. Christian nationalists are skilled at plucking scripture out of context to justify intolerant or conspiratorial beliefs. Literalist readings that can be used to persuade worshipers that violence is biblically sound. Oh, yes, violence is biblically sound. And therefore, if at any point in time you come into this context of justifying intolerant conspiratorial beliefs through the skillful plucking of scripture, like Elijah at Mount Carmel, calling down fire from heaven, we should clarify that if fire does come down from heaven, it isn't because we called it down. It's maybe because God sent it, but we didn't ask for it. Well, or maybe we asked for it, but we didn't do anything. We just pray. Speaking of Jezebel, because I got so much grief over referring to Kamala Harris as Jezebel. Did you watch what she just did, by the way, at that rally? At the recent rally where somebody else, she's talking about abortion, which is the sacrament of the new religion on the left. By the way, they have their own priesthood and they have their own religion. They have their own blasphemy laws. If you don't make the right confession, you could be excommunicated. I mean, I get knocked off and suppressed constantly off of social media because I don't honor the binary language of the woke crowd on gender. Anyway, Christian nationalists. So this guy yells out, Jesus is Lord, or something like that, at a rally when she's going off on abortion, like Christ is king, and just brings up Jesus in the conversation. And she wittily, but stupidly, revealed her Caligula-like tendencies and says, you're at the wrong rally.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street. Come on.
If you want Jesus, you got to go down the street. They're having a smaller rally down there, mocking Christians. You're at the wrong rally if you're looking for Jesus, buddy. We don't got Jesus here. Ha, 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 ha. Go down the street to that other rally where those nutjob Christians hang out. This is the day after she refused to go to the Al Smith dinner at Catholic Charity. Any wonder why it is that the Catholics are showing up and it's an unusually strong group in support of Donald Trump? Well, they ought to.
We're entering a period of time that has increased hostility against people of faith. It's a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, psychological, and even a financial basis. I'm here to remind you that God is the one who has blessed you thus far, and He will take care of you in the future. You have a divine responsibility, however, to see trouble and prepare yourself. For example, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, the savings in your retirement account is in danger of slipping away. I recommend diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. And that includes no penalties, there's no taxes, when you transfer current retirement funds into Birch Gold. To see how it works, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and get your free info kit, and you'll be glad that you did.
Where was I going a minute ago? Oh yes, I was telling you about Mario Murillo also. So he wrote, he made this thing. Kamala just told Christians they should not vote for her. Kamala just told Christians they should not vote for her. Exact words were, "You're in the wrong rally." Now, how does that equate to, if you're a Christian, you should not vote for me? Here's the explanation. It happened at her Wisconsin rally. While speaking, she declared the glory of abortion. The crowd, which had been subdued till then, began cheering wildly in favor of the sacrament of, I guess it's like, the human sacrifice to the gods of Baal, killing babies. When the cheers died down, one lone voice in the crowd shouted, "Jesus is Lord." Kamala turned and with disdain told the man, "You are in the wrong rally." The man said nothing against abortion. The man wore nothing MAGA. The only thing she knew was that he was a Christian. The crowd cheered again, apparently thrilled to know Christians are not welcome among us. But there's something more significant. As I said, the man who wore nothing that showed he was a Trump supporter. This makes what she said even more blatant. She is telling us that Christians belong in the Trump campaign. Christians do not belong in the Democrat campaign. Christians, Catholics, are not welcome in the Democrat rally. Her insult of Christians began the day before, actually, when she offended Catholics by not showing up to the Al Smith dinner. This was not a harmless snub. It speaks to something much deeper. Rachel Murray, an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, otherwise known as woke, in her article, "Silence is Complicity," she said, not showing up means that even if you aren't actively taking the side of an aggressor, you're implicitly doing that. In other words, if you're not standing up with us and protesting, you're actually giving us silent consent. Kamala's insults are strategic, however. She's an aggressor against the body of Christ. Her tactics are straight out of the handbook, Rules for Radicals by the late communist Saul Alinsky. By not showing up for the Al Smith dinner, her aggression is implied, but in Wisconsin, it's right there in the open. Now, I'm going to read one more sentence here. If she wins, the phrase, "you are in the wrong rally," will turn into, "you are in the wrong religion," or "your child is in the wrong house. You are the wrong parents for the child seeking transing," and many other things that are suddenly wrong in the imperial Roman government of Caligula. Well, the NAR, New Apostolic Reformation, which doesn't exist, has been cited. It's kind of like Bigfoot. Doesn't exist, but I'm going to write an article now about 5 things that you should know that distinguish real Bigfoot from wrong Bigfoot. See, that's the problem our side has. We write articles that acknowledge there is a New Apostolic Reformation, which was a term coined by a professor of missiology named Dr. C. Peter Wagner, who was merely noting that the only churches in the southern hemisphere, such as in Africa and in South America, that was outstripping Islam in terms of growth, were a particular type of gathering. They were charismatic in nature, exuberant in their worship, lively in their preaching, believed in a supernatural God, and embraced what could be best described as an apostolic theology of New Testament, fivefold ministry, apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, and teachers. And that this was a new apostolic reformation of church growth in the global south. Well, somehow, somebody got a hold of it and said, NAR, that's dangerous. They could take over the world. And they're going to be gathering their members into power. They're in the acquisition of power. And this is another thing that drives me nuts, and I feel like I've already talked half an hour already, or I don't know how long, but it's this anti-Christian nationalism stuff. Now, I don't like the term Christian nationalism, but I mean, if they're going to spin on you, I'll wear it as a badge of honor. Christian, by the way, wasn't used as a term of endearment. It was used as a term of a pejorative to describe the little Christ follower. But so Christian nationalism is nothing more than Christian patriotism. Christian nationalism is a follower of Jesus who is patriotic and loves his nation and believes that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, and is trying to preserve America from being taken out by the godless Marxists that wants government to be God. Government will give you the right to speak. Government gives you freedom of speech as a gift, Biden said. The government gives you permission to have these liberties. So government is God. That's the problem we got now. And that God is expensive, and that God will make you broke. Christian nationalism. I'm reading this article. I got to stop right now. I know where I was going. I was going to say that it's going to be too late in November 6th for you to take action on certain things. I'll tell you what those certain things are. Gold will be going up because I think the uncertainty, the instability. First of all, the left is going to. November 5th is the election. So November 6th, what I'm saying is after the election, you're going to see, I don't even know if we're going to be able to have results. I got 5 states right now saying, don't expect all the results to be tabulated by midnight. Isn't that the idea of a same-day election? Oh, no, we're going to go through it again. There's going to be all kinds of dead people voting and illegals voting, and Trump was winning, and now he's losing. After 24 hours, he was ahead in Pennsylvania, he was ahead in Wisconsin, he was ahead in, but Harris, she's coming up overnight. The instability that's going to happen if Trump does win will be immediate riots all over the country. They're talking about us as being dangerous. Oh, they're stoking the fires of insurrection. The truth of the matter is we don't. Not one person out of the million that went and protested on January 6th for an election fraud protest. We were standing there to let the Senate and let the Congress know, do your diligence and don't let this election be stolen. Don't certify a vote till we're satisfied that these votes are valid. We all accept the fact that the country wants to go Marxist. You go where you want to go. As for me and my house, we'll serve the Lord. But I'll accept the fact that my nation is on the course of suicide. I'll accept it. I will not fight it. But you see, that's different than labeling January 6th as a gathering of armed insurrectionists when nobody had any guns except for the people that shot at us. Not a very good insurrection when you go without a gun. An army of rosary praying, shofar blowing, Trump flag people with MAGA hats assaulting the Capitol. Now, I don't doubt that there was about maybe 1%. I'm sure that there's a 1% factor on the left. I mean, it's called Antifa or the BLM riots. What happened to that summer riots, by the way? Remember the summer riots in 2020? You know what? Who funded all that? Why didn't we have a commission in Washington that was looking into universally what happened on January 6th? Was there extremism there? Who was stoking that? What were they saying? What was the rhetoric that was so incendiary that would cause people to show up without a gun but still not behave themselves? And then over here, how about those 17 policemen, I guess how many? 7 were killed, 70 were hospitalized, 17 cities burning with riots taking place, 200 with protests. And what was the role of Antifa and how was the funding? How were the organizations on the left funding that? Because you notice something. It all comes down to, and Tucker Carlson taught me this in Fox News, he said it all comes down to one simple question, right track, wrong track. And when Trump was in office, they had to stir up and fund all the anarchy to say to the nation, we're on the wrong track, wrong track. It's Trump's fault. It's Trump's fault. He's the chaos guy. By the way, you ought to read this book, Chaos Code. Everything I wrote is happening now. God's Chaos Code. You can get it on Amazon. But here's the deal. Nobody investigated what was happening on the left. Right now, oh, watch out for those dangerous Christian nationalists that were on the wall last week. 1 million women gathered together crying out to God on Yom Kippur for their children. Dangerous like you've never seen. Using biblical metaphors about Jezebel and about Elijah and about nations being judged. And, oh, they're dangerous. Oh, really? We don't have the riots the left had. We didn't have the Democrats. You know why? Because the Democrats funded the riots because it had to be wrong track. Wrong track. We're on the wrong track. We got to get Trump out. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. Why aren't there any riots now? Because the Democrats are in office. It wouldn't look good. They're already looking bad. 70% of Americans think we're on the wrong track without a riot. Without a flippin' riot. And if they had riots, They'd shut him down. Are you crazy? Are you trying to get Harris to lose the election? Shut up. So she loses the election. Now, if she somehow loses and we create such a tsunami, such a cosmic intervention of protecting us even from algorithmic manipulation, which is my latest concern on the tabulation, the data processing, even if somehow by a miracle of God we're given an extension of grace for 4 years, the riots will pick up again. As sure as the NAR doesn't exist, the riots will manifest. Go to lancewallnau.com/gold. Go now. Go now, because if you go now, you can ride that gold as it goes up, 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 because the American economy is going to suffer a big setback because confidence in the stability of America is about to shake. Whoever wins, we will be more divided in the week following than ever before. But I will keep you sane because my rant is informed, it's accurate, it's prophetically prescient, it's predictive, it's pungent. And I'll try to make it more punctual, and I'll get it to you often, because this will be your lifeline to sanity, because you won't be the only one out there having to deal with the feeling, am I losing my mind? Get me some more cowbell. All right. Well, I'm going to have to stop now because I've run out of time. But I haven't run out of things to say. I'm going to see you again tomorrow. I want to talk about these knuckleheads that are signing pledges against Christian nationalism. There's a website out there, I forget what it's called, but a bunch of ministers signed a pledge right after January 6th. Oh, yeah, I'm not part of that. Oh, I'm not part of that. Don't confuse me with being a Christian nationalist. I did nothing to do with that insurrection. Oh, dangerous, dangerous. And then, of course, the left lied. Officer Sweatneck, bludgeoned to death with the blunt object of a fire hydrant or fire thing by a Christian nationalist. Oh, the articles went out. Oh, this is inexcusable. We will not, Christians can't tolerate this kind of thing. There was no retraction made, by the way, I've noticed, by those writers of those blogs that described Christian nationalism as the great boogeyman responsible for January 6th debacle, death, and violence. Find that website. It's a website where people are signed a pledge saying, I am not a Christian nationalist. I've never been a Christian nationalist. I don't even know any Christian nationalists. And if I did, I'd turn them in. Well, I'm probably exaggerating. I didn't actually read what they wrote. I just know that everybody that wanted to distance himself from the mud splatter of January 6th, boom, went there. But thank God the Lara Logans of this world, the women, and many of them aren't even Christian. They're confessing Christ, but, you know, we would say they're like the pre-Christian on their way there. Red Rover, calling Lara Logan over. These people have more courage and more clarity. That's why I love Russell Brand. That's why I love Jordan Peterson. That's why I love Steve Bannon. That's why I love our team. I love Elon Musk. Red Rover, calling Elon over. We have got a winning team, people. I'm excited about the future. We must not let Caligula conduct the imperial persecution of the Christians. And regardless of what happens, we'll be right here at the Lance Wallnau Show / it's what? Lance Wallnau, what is it? LanceWallnau.com /podcast. If you're just bumping into this or someone shared it with you, it's LanceWallnau.com /podcast. This is your way of staying sane in the storm, of being able to maintain your sanity in the midst of all of the vicissitudes of the news cycles. We'll be telling you from day to day what's happening. And remember this, Daniel chapter 11. Daniel 11. I love this. Daniel 11, verse 1. What a verse. Gabriel, the archangel, comes with a sword drawn, his armor dented, the steam coming off of him from a conflict with the principalities of Persia. And he says, Daniel, in the first year of the king Darius the Mede, who was actually another name for Cyrus. In the first year of Cyrus, I took my stand to support him and protect him. Let me tell you something. Angels get involved with the spiritual warfare over nations. And in that case, an angel even got involved to make sure the right heathen got in office. So even if you don't like Trump, there's an angel there to protect him. That's what made him turn his head. We need a reformation. I'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget that, LanceWallnau.com /gold. Get that 21-page report and take action now. Do it before the election. You'll be happy you did. See you tomorrow.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.